absent today. Commissioner Sweetland. Here. Commissioner Yu. Here. Commissioner Clemens.
Here.
And Commissioner Midget.
Okay.
There, did I hear my name?
I looked at you
Allison
and
did.
saw you were here.
So Deanna, could you pull the flag out?
Sure.
And you want to lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so everybody read the minutes of the March 13th meeting?
Yes.
And are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Recommend approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the March 13th minutes. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, it's approved. All right, so now we have the presentation for our grant agencies. And Al, you have a presentation from Action. I'm not very formal, I should say Commissioner Clement.
I appreciate that, Mr. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I've been very busy doing a number of other things last month or so. I met with Action a month before last. Excellent organization. They are, one of the things I was impressed with, they have over 400 volunteers. They have only 3 employees, and most of their budget is in kind. The money that we granted to them, they will be using in Oxnard only, which is our objective. And they will take those monies and primarily use it for ramps. They build, 2017, they built 18 ramps. No, I'm talking about the ramps, the houses. And in Oxnard, there was 4 of them. They'll be doing even more. How many residents in Oxnard do you serve throughout these funds? About 200 or 50. They do a lot of stuff more than just ramps. They do a lot of stuff. And here, this is a good question, this is a good answer. How do you reach the new clients? We work through other agencies, nonprofits, social workers, and refer to us. One of the things that came out of that meeting, which I was very pleased with, is that you remember at the workshop meeting we had a couple of months ago, I was encouraging others to have more of a cross-pollination. And Dan Miller, it was interesting, he said, boy, I'm really glad I went to that meeting. He said, I wish we had more of them. And he said, I didn't even know there was such an organization as Gray Law. Didn't even know. I didn't even know there was another one. I forget another one he mentioned also. I mentioned 2 of them. And he said, yeah, constantly getting asked, not constantly, but often getting asked by people, legal questions and stuff like that. So, as I said to Renee, if we can have another organizational meeting like that. I know you had told me that a couple of people complained, so to speak, about that not being worthwhile. He thought it was very worthwhile, and I think we should have more in the future. So, about a month last year, along the same lines this year, I met with Food Share. Food Share, I was very impressed with them, and they were here. I made a donation to them. I'm glad because I made a donation to them, I got their newsletter. Right? And their newsletter is excellent. And one of the things in the newsletter that they had was the Christmas Pantry. So when I was speaking to Monica White, she's the CEO of the organization, I said to her, why don't you do that in other cities in Turin? She said, boy, you sound just like our board of directors, that keep on asking the same thing. And she said, we can't, we just don't have enough volunteers. So I spoke to Renee, and hopefully we may be able to do something next year in that particular area. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I said, hopefully we can do something like that. So I was very pleased with that. Now, as far as the grant panel, yeah.
So let's stay on agenda. So, we'll touch on CDBG at a different portion of the agenda.
Okay, now Sylvia was supposed to come today. For ombudsman?
No,
It's me.
Kathy is.
Oh, you're doing it, oh, okay. Excellent.
Okay, so so first of all, I'm going to apologize for two things. I've had a cold, I had last week, I had tiny visitors, and my 4-year-old granddaughter she gave me a little gift before she left, so, so I couldn't talk for a couple of days, so I'm sorry for that. And then second of all, since I'm not feeling real well, when I went upstairs to get my binder for today's meeting, that I realized that I have my binder for last year, not this year, which has my notes in it. So those are my two apologies. So I'm going to go off of just what I remember about the ombudsman program. And so don't ask me any numbers like statistics of how much money we give or, that kind of thing, because that I won't be able to tell you. What I can tell you is that this was the organization that I raised my hand for, that I wanted to go and meet them, because when they made their presentations here to our group, that they touched my heart in a really special way, because the people that they serve, no other organization does what they do. So, like other organizations could go over and make a ramp or give you food, and there's different things, but the ombudsman program, no other organization does what they do. And they go into the homes, into the nursing facility, 3 homes, to the nursing homes, the assisted living homes, and the private homes that house the seniors when they're not able to live at home. So you have this group of these people. Let's imagine that they're the most vulnerable, the very most vulnerable. They're no longer living in their own homes, and they're now in a facility and having somebody else take care of them. And so many of them, are with memory care, many of them with, needs, physical needs that they're not able to live at home. And what the ombudsman do is that they go into those 3 different facilities, and they go in there often. They're not required to because this is a program that is a national program, and they're not required only to go in once a year to some of these facilities yet. They go in to the once a week and once a month, that they go in and they check on these people, and they talk to the people that are living there, and they ask them, how are things going, and they get to know them, and is there anybody, is there anything we can do for you? Are there people that even family members, maybe, or friends or something like that, that are, maybe they're being targeted for their financial resources? Or are there people that are using elder abuse, that's rampant among people. So that they get to know them and develop a trust, and that then people are able to convey this to the either the volunteers that that are there, that go out to see them, and then they are an advocate for these people that are truly the most vulnerable within our society. I just see them as, and I know personally, I have an aunt and an uncle in assisted living care. I have another aunt that's in a nursing home. And then, you go and I visit them, and my heart goes out to them. These are people that I remember growing up with, vital people out, doing their business and running around and raising families and doing, going to work, and here they are in there, it's just, it's, and it's something that any of us maybe at some time. And how amazing is it that there is this organization that goes out, and that, the one that I remembered from our meeting before, where it's like, God, I love that idea, is that one of the volunteers, that she said that he was an advocate, he was a patient that he was visiting, and the man was a lifetime smoker. And it was a non-smoking facility, and he went and said, he wants to swim. I said, "We know that smoking's not good for anybody, but this is something that has caused, he's brought him pleasure for all these years." And then they were able to go over and within the facility to give him a little non-smoking place. And I just, like I said, I'm enamored with this organization. I love them, and while I was there, it's like, I want an application. I want to go over it. And so within what she told me is within Oxnard, where the other cities have, really enough volunteers that they're able to go out, because, there's a number of places that they have to visit. And that Oxnard never gets enough volunteers. And so within Oxnard area that they have to, that they actually have paid people that go out there. So that's when I said, I want an application, they only
Yeah.
once a year that they go, that they train their volunteers once a year, and that they don't take everybody, and, I think it's I forget this, like I said, on numbers, it's going to feelings in my heart, but that, for a couple of weeks that they go over it and that they train them, they give them training, and then they go out with another volunteer and they go out into the field before they're by themselves. And not everybody is selected to be a volunteer with this organization, but like I said, I especially raise my hand. I want to go there because I just think it's an amazing, amazing organization for the people within our society that are really less vulnerable.
I have a little comment on them. It's sort of cute, but still aware that they do know their patients. My uncle was in one of the homes, and I ran into an ombudsman one time. I go visit my uncle, and he asked me, he says, "Why is your uncle being changed?" He wasn't in the stable room all the time. So why do they keep changing him rooms? So he knew. And I said, because my uncle was difficult to live with. So he would get into fights with the with the partner, others too. So they had to move him to another room like once a month. But see, he was aware, the ombudsman knew.
And his story.
So he was concerned. Why?
Yeah, they're a wonderful organization. Sylvia, I talked to her after we had that, I don't know what it is, all the grant reception, and she really enjoyed it. Although we don't give them a lot of money, she said it encourages other donations. They can say Oxnard gave us $5,000, and so she was very grateful for that. She was disappointed because the CDBG grant process, she thought that she would be notified. Well, she was told that they were eligible, but then they weren't notified. They didn't get any notification. So next year, when we get notification, maybe we can make sure to alert her.
Well, so I had shared the information of where to get it with her, but we can do.
I think she was expecting a letter of invitation.
And it won't happen because
I know.
grants, they don't necessarily, unless you've applied for them in the past, you won't get any type of, hey, we're giving out free money, you gotta look for those press releases or look on their website for that information.
So I told her that we'd let her know so that she could, it's the cycle, and you never know. There are so many different cycles that she has to keep track of, so.
And as far as feedback from that reception, the piece of feedback that I got that Al was mentioning was we already are collaborating, but I think the missing piece of that message is there were some small organizations like Action or Shop-A-Boy that have no knowledge or little knowledge of the larger organizations or agencies that are given grant monies. And that was the special part of that reception, is it really helped to spread the word between the smaller agencies. And who knows how many of those larger agencies really knew about Action or Shop-A-Boy or Greylaw.
As a matter of fact, Dan Miller was telling me that there's over 250 organizations in the Ventura area who are working with seniors and underprivileged people. I still think that, there should be more cross-pollination. And the way you get cross-pollination is by exposure to each other. As I say, when he told me that 250, I don't realize that many organizations, one way or another, that are doing something for seniors, but from the advocacy point of view. They also give out food action. So they have a big organization around Christmas time, and they donate unbelievable amount of food. So things that we don't even know about, and if we don't know about it, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of organizations don't know about what's happening out there.
Right.
I just want to say one more thing about the ombudsman program. One other item that Sylvia mentioned to me is that Ventura County, their ombudsman program is the model. If you're going to be into a facility. I'm so sorry.
Don't throw it.
I'm good. You want some water?
Maybe you know this, Renee, the advocacy group that we talk about that now, are they proactive? Number one, I understand they probably are, but could they get a call from a son or a daughter to check on the parent?
Yes,
Okay.
they do.
So they do that both, so it's both ways. That's great.
I had a
I was
personal.
just gonna say, you have one where you.
Yeah. It's a long story, but anyway, I told Sylvia problem, and she got on it right away. And the nursing home administrator, my family member, and so they're very responsive, really. And it's one of those organizations, they're very selfless, very selfless. You okay? I know that feeling, that's so awful.
I think Alice had a good word. I think we've experienced that all over, responsive. No matter where you go, there's responsive. Everything's responsive. It's a good city workers, really. The whole city works well.
So, okay, that's our reports, and so, Renee, you have the report as commission secretary.
So the only item I have to report on this one is CDBG. And so the word that we've received is we'll be receiving some sort of response as far as what's been granted sometime in May. But
You
now,
received that from me, or you received it already?
no, I received that from our staff received that
Oh,
from
good,
CDBG.
good. I probably shouldn't have said anything. Okay,
So-
yeah.
So Al represented the commission on that panel, so Al, if you can give us a little bit.
I was pleased that I was asked to be on the commission. Hopefully I'll be on it again next year also. As I said, there was
Not a
three.
problem.
There were three C's, what are they called?
Okay,
Tax.
okay, members.
Yeah. And three citizens, non-employees. But yeah, I was surprised at the three employees. With the grants were anywhere from $20,000 to I think over $1 million in a couple of them. And most of the grants were, I think there's only two that were denied entirely. There's only two, I think. But most of the grants were approved. So I was surprised by the different grantees. They went from boxing to building sidewalks. Really, there was one organization, I guess I can talk like now, they wanted $261,000, a nonprofit organization, building an apartment house. And they wanted $261,000 for sidewalk improvement, not for sidewalk improvement, to build the sidewalks. And I can't get the details, I don't think I'm allowed to go into the details. I don't think so. It wasn't approved in totality. So that's that, as I say, and it was very well organized. It was 8 o'clock in the morning to 5:30 at night. And it was 3 days. It was really intensive, very intensive. You did a nice presentation, thank you. And as I say, well, you know that it was approved, so that's it. And that's all I have to say on that. But there's one more thing, I should say as well, which is I'm pleased with. the American Diabetes Association of America, they made a presentation. They wanted grant funds, and that was approved. But the thing that I wanted to speak about was that the woman who was there, Laura Kishoff, I've spoken to a couple of times already, and put her in touch with Food Share, again, cross-pollination. Because one of the things that they want to do, the American Diabetes Association, is a statistic which I'm sure most of you didn't know about. I didn't know about. The highest incidence of type 2 diabetes in the state of California is in our style. Yeah. And so what they're doing is they have a new program, and it's an educational program for children and parents, which they actually have a dish, and on the dish, I think I've seen that before. It shows vegetables, this, that, and things like that. And so while she was talking, I'm thinking to myself, their biggest expense is food. Food Share has a significant amount of food that's available for them. So I put the two of them together, and they're trying to work something out. So I was pleased with that, and that was it. That was it as far as the grant program goes. It was intensive, and didn't get heated. I won't use the word heated. But there were a couple of people who two were turned down entirely. That's it.
Okay, well, good. That's good news.
So the bad news is that the type 2 diabetes, no, unbelievable. I couldn't think, the highest incidence of type 2 diabetes in children, I should say, is all of California, center of the Oxnard, Ventura County.
So we have, on that note, we have St. John's that we partner with, and they've been coming in and providing screenings for diabetes. And if anyone falls within a spectrum of diabetes, they actually refer them to a class that's put on, and it goes to food, health, medicine. They actually link them up with doctors, insurance or not. But it's part of the St. John's Wellness Program that comes into our centers. But I think that would be good to share that contact information with Deanna so she can link up to them also.
Okay, would you like?
I went to an event put on about diabetes, and they said the Hispanic population is the most vulnerable because of their ethnicity and adopting to the American diet. It's very, very hard for their,
I go to the 99, I'm sorry.
well, it's just,
Yeah, I go to the 99 store often, and it's unbelievable the amount of crap that they buy for their children. Really. Maybe because it's something new, they don't have that exposure where they came from, whoever it be, but you see these children walking around eating all of that crap.
Yeah.
And buying all the sugars and creams and everything else like that. So
chips and
I'm not
soda,
surprised.
chips and soda, oh gosh, they're the high salt. But anyway, that's good. So, under new business, we have such a light agenda. So the senior services programs and events.
So Mary Sue is out today, but I'll mention a few things for her and then I'll turn over to Deanna. April 28th is World Tai Chi Day. So there's going to be an event put on by RSVP and the Tai Chi instructors. So the event is going to be here at the Rose Garden, 9:30 to 11:30. And the World Tai Chi Day is to get the most amount of people doing Tai Chi at the same time. So on the 10 o'clock hour, there will be everyone doing Tai Chi in our Rose Garden. But it's a Saturday. So Saturday, the 28th of this month, 9:30 to 11:30 in the Rose Garden. And
Will they do demonstrations?
Yes.
If you've never
Yes.
done Tai Chi.
yes, they will. Let's see, and then I don't know if Deanna is going to mention this one, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it. Deanna has been in connection with Jeanette Hattigi.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to mention that?
Yes.
Her from BC AAA. I was very excited to see her reach out to us. to host a living within your means.
You're ready?
Uragi.
Yeah, I was thinking, who are you talking about?
She's from BC AAA, so it's one of those partnerships that we've been trying to nurture and get the attention of here in Oxnard. So she reached out to us asking if we are interested in hosting a living within our means financial workshop in September. So we'll be hosting that in September. It's gonna be a 1-hour seminar on basically saving money and living on fixed income and budgeting. So on September 12th, in English from 10 to 11, in Spanish 11 to 12 at SOC. So it's good that they thought of us. They're partnering with CBC Federal Credit Union to put this on, and I was excited that they reached out to us to host this seminar.
Kathy, go home.
September 12th.
Oh, and
We love you, but you need to get healthy.
look at the class monitor.
And I'll go ahead and turn over to the.
So I was also gone last month, so something coming up April 18th here at the Wilson Center is Coffee with a Cop. I've been in collaboration with Oxnard Police Department. So our neighborhood officer, I think it'll be 1 or 2 of them will be coming by and just hanging out with the seniors, having coffee. I'll get some yummy pastries, and seniors can talk to them about their concerns or, things that are coming up and issues that they might have in their neighborhood. Whatever they'd like to talk about at the top. 10, we'll be here at 10.
And they've been having those down at the beach for
Yeah,
most of the year.
yeah.
For about a year now. And it's at Coffee Beans, all the cops show up. It's funny, you go there and there's motorcycles, there's police, it's a kid to get parking spot. The old coffee and donuts. But it's been supposedly very popular.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. And then, once we have this one, they're gonna schedule one at home and one at SOC, so we'll be circulating it with the different neighborhood cops. May we have senior legends, so I print out the game schedules, for everybody, so, you guys can take one if you want. And it's the same kind of format as last year, so the dates, of course, have changed, but, same, games and, locations as before. We also have our Cinco de Mayo Mother's Day combo luncheon coming up on May 11th. It will be a nice event. It'll be at each of the centers. And we'll probably do like an enchilada plate. Just getting the final details on that, and then I'll make a flyer for the centers too. We also have our senior dance coming up May 18th. It's gonna be a Mardi Gras theme from 5 to 8. Yes, I print out flyers and I got donation letters too.
Yeah.
5 to 8 p.m. here at Wilson Center. $7 a ticket. It's gonna be like a fried chicken dinner and dessert. Music, of course, dancing, all the stuff that they like to do. I did reach out to Ventura Music Festival, and they have a jazz band from their pilot program, and they're probably gonna be willing to play for about an hour when people are coming in and eating, and then we'll switch it to dancing music. So it'll be a really nice event.
How are we promoting these? Are we getting any exposure to the newspaper?
We're posting it on social media, and then we're posting our flyers just at the centers as well.
So we do have limited tickets on this since it is here
Yeah,
at
it's just
Wilson,
here in
and it
Wilson.
gets sold out just promoting it,
Oh, okay.
so.
And I do have the
And
donation letters for anybody.
when you're done, I wanna make a comment about that.
Huh?
When you're done, I wanna make a comment
Okay.
about the dance.
And then I'm still gonna reach out to a few organizations, see if we can get some help with some pies and some treats at the end of our dinner. Dessert is important. And I think that's all I have actually.
Great. I'm just asking all of you for donations, because I will be going to the different businesses. So if you can get a maybe $10 donation, or if you have a favorite restaurant you go to, maybe they can give us a free lunch, or again, coffee shop $10 donation. Or if you wanna bring an item, you appreciate it for door prices.
Where do the tickets go on sale?
They're already, the centers already have them,
Okay,
so they're on sale now.
May 10th is the RSVP luncheon, and I have solicited donations, so I would prefer that we don't hit the same businesses. Yolanda's and Dominic's and Coffee Bean and Tea and Western Free Cooling, so hopefully won't hit them for.
I don't go, I'm the one that's doing a lot of it.
uh,
Usually I go to like Tomas Cafe, the Garcia Mortuary in Otani's. And last year you got somebody from Fresh and Eat.
Fresh and fabulous.
Yeah, do you want to contact them or should I?
I'll contact them,
Okay.
yeah.
Bee Gees would be good too.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get downtown
Right.
Yeah.
or close by Knox, trying just to,
Possibly
you know, the
try to do
local
It's also
businesses,
important
more business.
Yeah. We've, in the past, I've gotten movie tickets too, but I haven't asked around this year, so. That's always good. Okay, that's it. All right.
So May 10th is RSVP.
Yeah.
May 10th.
May 10th, yeah. And as a commission, we are invited to attend that, but we need to let Mary Sue know. I don't,
Usually she contacts us, doesn't she? I haven't done
She's been out for a few weeks, so I will have her, I just made a note with my bright orange pen.
And I'm not-
Send out a reminder.
I'm not even sure where it's at. Is it gonna be at
It's out in
Marriott?
Marriott.
So,
with Olmsted.
yeah. And so, we usually have a table reserved for the commission. And, this volunteers like to see commissioners there as they do at the dance. Okay, so our subcommittee reports, Ventura County Area Agency, Ventura County Agency on Aging. I thought it was AC Drive. So we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago and everything's fine. They have some openings. I told you they have openings
Veterans.
for somebody to represent veterans, somebody from supervisor office, or
Alice, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
they have some openings, and I don't have it with me right now, but I sent it to Renee. But it's a 2-year cycle, and so they need somebody for state legislature, and they would advocate and get information from Sacramento on what they're doing for seniors, and then somebody to represent veterans' concerns, and somebody from a supervisorial district, but I don't think Oxnard is. So anyway, if you're interested, and I told you last month about the Optimal Aging Champions. We still don't have a date. They're having trouble. Christine Both handled this and she's not here, but I did print out what we have. If you have somebody that you know, you think does exceptional work, if it's an agency or a person, this is the application. And while we still don't have a deadline, it was supposed to be in May, and I don't know how they're gonna pull it off. But you might look this over. You talked about Michael Williams possibly.
No, she's only, doesn't have an ethical
I only printed out
That's-
more.
So,
But anyway,
Don't forget,
if you're interested
I knew what I,
nominating somebody who's done dementia-friendly, and they're a dementia-friendly advocate or champion or advocacy and leadership, so. They'll have a reception and give this award to the person. There's no money involved, and they don't want it to be an employee of an agency.
which is good.
And it could be an agency that goes above and beyond. So Anyway, that's what I have. CAAA. And so what do you have?
Do you have a date yet for, okay, the senior commission, is working on a, I'm calling it a party, because I don't know, we don't have another name for it, to announce the Orca, association and to announce to the world that we're there, and then we're trying to set some dates and have, and then invite the world to come. And of course, we will be asking for donations at that and start the whole thing and get more people signed up to be part of it. Because we haven't been getting any, grants that we've requested so far, so we're, not hurting on that, but we're functioning and moving in. You can think of anything, I was hoping, I forgot to get everyone to talk before we left. He was asking if he thought.
And the aviation risk assessment is being completed now, so we should be getting a report from that early May. For the,
What, yeah,
it's about 45 days.
yeah.
You were talking last, I think it was last meeting, we said if we don't get our site at the airport, that we should explore an empty building that could be modified. And there is the old code planning building there on,
Second,
is it Second, by the library?
it's filled with asbestos.
Oh, okay.
No extra charge.
And
No,
just as a point of interest, the airport's approval over there, they've approved 294 homes on the corner of West Fifth and Harbor. It's right on the path to the airport.
And also there's another new school going in.
Right.
So actually the denial was just pure, what's the word for it? To protect the liability. That's the only reason why they have to say no. It's just for liability, and technically they're going through, I'm sure, for the homes for the same thing. They turn them down and everybody overrides them, because it's just what happens,
294 homes on a toxic dump. Matter of fact, we had,
Oh, is it, oh, right, yeah, it was originally planned and they died and now it's going
bounced back
ahead.
again, and I arranged to have this woman from the, I don't know, from the state, deal something toxic, something or other.
Your kitty corner across. the
Yeah,
street.
yeah, and she said, it's not, I asked her, I said, is it a fait accompli that they could be building it? We don't want to waste our time going to meetings and stuff like that. And she said, no, it's not a fait accompli, number one. Number two, it's important that you do come to meetings. Then I asked her, if it is approved, will you move to our mobile home park? She said, oh, I don't know, it's a joke.
She wants probably something fancier.
No, I meant because of the.
Because of
problem with
the
air control.
exposure, yeah.
Oh, she works for the state.
Interesting, well. So there were several things that had to happen, so the airport one is the first or the last?
Which are the meetings or the assessment?
Betterment.
This is the first assessment.
And if we pass that, then what?
So they're basically gonna give it's not a pass or fail, it's more a recommendation. Whether or not if it's the flight pattern, there's a risk. It's my understanding we'll need noise assessment, and also an archaeological assessment. But
And what that might go into too.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make. There seems a lot fickle on their positions sometimes. Okay, they're approving 294 homes with probably over 1,000 people there, right on the path, coming in and coming out. That's not a problem. So.
Yeah,
you know better than I
the
do.
logic doesn't fit,
That's
does
a
it?
problem, probably not.
Well, when they put one sort of school in there, and that didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, and when I went to some of the airport meetings that were in Cambodia, and what I really heard them saying when I heard they're commissioners, they have commissioners just like we do. And what I heard from those meetings are that they are doing their due diligence. They are to protect these little local airports. That's their main job. And rather than even the noise factor or the safety factor is what they don't want to see is what happened in Santa Monica. That you have this local airport that's there. Then you have this encroachment of all of these new homes and facilities and things going around it. And then they go over to the airport and say, we don't like this airport here. Well, the airport was there first. And the airport, then you move all these other people, oh, well, it's too noisy, we don't like it here. And that property became so, it was more valuable. So, but that's what I heard that the commissioners, saying, is that it's the encroachment upon their airport where then they are forced into not existing any longer. So they're just protecting themselves, and that's all. And that's why they're commissioners for that particular reason. Of course they're going to deny it. I didn't hear anything about the safety or the noise and any of that because it doesn't make any sense. You've got two schools. that was not the reason. And so, and to understand that, then we can understand them a little bit better in their positions.
Just more of a legal kind of thing to do it, and not that, it might not get.
Okay, so, do we have any commissioner comments?
One last thing on action. It was interesting. They said earlier they have 400 volunteers. They said often you don't have enough to do. Goes back to, again, not having enough exposure. People know what's available. This is something which is systemic to all organizations in Ventura. It's just an unbelievable amount of services that are available.
Is this the DMV class?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
400 employees, 400 volunteers, and often they said we have nothing to do.
I can recommend other volunteer organizations who'd love to have them. With these volunteers if they just want to do their time.
Yeah.
I have a question on the legend. Do we have like an opening day or ceremony?
We don't,
We
we've
just start.
attempted to do it in the past and we don't get a whole lot of individuals interested in it. So we had Dr. Dial a few years ago come
Oh,
in
yeah.
and do a presentation, but we really had to cancel a Zumba class to get people to stick around to watch it. Otherwise it would have been an empty house. So I would hate to invite a individual out to speak and no one's interested.
I'm curious about this Zumba classes. When I used to go, they'd ask for money, and then the thing that says it's free, so what happened?
It's through, Ventura, County Public Health.
New instructors.
New instructors.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're with Ventura Public Health, so they don't charge any.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I've heard nothing but positive feedback from the instructor, nobody loves her classes. Doing really well.
I was just, I hesitate for that.
We switched it over.
Okay. Yeah, and you saw the Zoom instructor came to the
Right.
white pants and.
He's totally expended.
Oh. Okay, so we have no further comments from our commissioners. Do we have any agenda items you want to put on the calendar for next month?
I guess my question, we spend time on the goals, the short-term, long-term. Are we setting up meetings on those? Or?
So there's subcommittees with them labeled on each goal, so it's the responsibility of those
Of the
commissioners of the
subcommittee.
subcommittees to meet and begin work on it.
Well, that's what I understand also. When is our next subcommittee meeting?
I thought we want to set it.
Oh, I thought you were doing it.
Why would I set it?
You were probably all the other ones.
So you,
All right, we'll talk about it later.
And
Yeah,
just for items for future consideration,
that's my
Okay,
question,
you'll be,
who's responsible?
uh, presenting on Gray Law.
Great, yeah, I was just looking for that, you sent us, you gave us something that had
This
all
is
their
in this
names.
month's packet.
You've got a point, because one of the committee members has to be.
Right, there's no real head of this subcommittee.
Right. So,
I don't mind doing it, if it was, I don't know what it was.
so perhaps you and Al and Alice can talk after the meeting and figure out what you wanna do, because you're supposed to report every 3 months
Right,
to us. And then long-term goal number 1, that's the new senior center, so we get a report on that. Long-term goal number 2, the Colonial Center, that's Lourdes and Alex and myself. So I guess we can talk about that. Do we have any updates?
So the individual I was working with was housing, she is out, so we won't have an update. So, but October was the target for the opening. And I pretty much have, the last few conversations that we've had is we will have the opportunity to come in. It's details just need to be discussed.
And then long-term goal number 3. This is the marketing plan, so everybody got the report from Pepperdine?
And so I was actually going to mention that in my final little comments today with you, the 3 of you that are in attendance today. So I was looking on my calendar and I noticed next Tuesday, I want to say, is the final presentation. This team, our last semester's team, actually, their leader reached out to me a couple of days ago asking if we can be used as a recommendation on her, an application she was submitting. And I said, by all means, you set the bar so high with your team and just the ways of communication and so smooth. This team from Pepperdine, we've had to contact the instructor, and it's more of a teaching opportunity, but then they're going out and they've done some good work. But we've definitely had to corral them. It's a nice way to put it. And it's taken a lot of our time to get there, but I hope the final product will be rewarding. So on my calendar, I have a final presentation for next Tuesday at 3:15. We have is it Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday, the 17th at 3:15. Now it says tentative, and they were, so we have a phone meeting with them this Thursday morning. I will confirm that with them and then email it to the subcommittee members for confirmation on that. But if you can just mark your calendar, 7:15 the 17th at 3:15.
Okay.
Were they freshmen or?
No, they're seniors. They're seniors, and we were actually very impressed. This was a dynamic group looking on paper. But as we all know, working with groups is not always the smoothest when you have a lot of, going different directions. So we've had to corral them a lot.
The reason why I asked that is that it's unbelievable the difference between when I went to school. All I was concerned about was them be serving beer or cookies. Now you see these kids, especially after the shooting, they're so articulate and they know what they know what they're saying. These fellows also, if you remember last year, I said the professor should give them an A for what they did. It was excellent. So I'm just showing the difference in 50 years. We have different objectives 50 years ago when you go to college than you have now. Much more articulate and intelligent than we were, than I was.
And this
group,
like I said, on paper, looked very dynamic. I would say 90% of the team is from outside of the United States.
I saw the names, I showed, so yeah.
And they've had businesses, and you can tell that they're coming from families or of either or they're already expected to, as soon as they graduate, they're gonna go run a family business, or they run their own businesses. And I mean, have their own social media platforms with large followings and, you know, have already done a lot of this work that, like you're saying, many have waited till mid-30s to do. So you know, we're hopeful in the final product. We have had to spend some extra time and pull down our hair here and there with this group.
So you'll get back to us as it
I
relates to
will on
the
Thursday,
presentation.
yes.
And on that same note, could you tell us about the MUG program, how that's coming?
So we will be getting our updates on this week for our first month run. It's a little slower than expected. I've only seen feedback from SOC so far. It's a little bit slower. Deanna and I were actually chatting about this last night. We're gonna go ahead and put it on our social media and encourage people to come as first timers, not necessarily bring a friend, because, you know, you're seeing it on social media. Our Nextdoor app, our Nextdoor gives a lot of new participants without this offer. So it will be interesting to see if we say, hey, come in, here's a free mug, and learn about our programs, what feedback we get. So we are gonna put it, that wasn't originally a plan, but we're gonna go ahead and extend it to our social media. We'll see what's coming out of Palm Vista and Wilson, because we haven't seen that. We get our stats the second Thursday of the month. So see what else is going on.
Okay, finishing up on the goals, the ongoing goal number one is the grant process, and I think that we're doing that because we're visiting each of our grantees and we're talking about it, so I think that we are addressing that. And then the annual report, well, we won't do anything on that, Jeff, you and I, until, you know, next, maybe December, we'll start that. And then goal number 3, I'm not sure what it says, promote the needs of our senior population, help seniors stay healthy and active. That's a blank to me. Or
So this
subcommittee
is the
to
one
oversee.
I believe that rolled over from the previous years.
I just don't remember, and it says, under process for communication, display survey results at each senior center. We threw out the idea of doing surveys, so I don't know,
Maybe just this one I didn't get eliminated from.
yeah. So Lourdes and I are supposed to be doing something, we'll figure it out.
Well, visiting neighborhoods, I mean, that's.
Yeah,
That's, yeah, being able to counsel staff would be that if you just got out to all of them, which would be a major thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done 3 this past year, so.
And you're not expected to do all of them.
On that note, we've increased our partnership with our Lawn Bowls Club. You know, I think it's in that whole relationship. We're talking about cross-programming with their participants coming into our senior centers. But Deanna and myself made a presentation, so after one of their lawn bowls, they come Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So one of the Fridays, as soon as they were finished, we went in there and gave a presentation on all of our services. And or we're meeting numerous handfuls, it's worth it to get the word out. So they were very excited. Some of them actually joined our Tai Chi class from that and have called and come into the centers. And these are individuals that are walking between our office and our senior center, and just that little engagement got them in the door. So it's worthwhile.
How many members do they have?
The lawn bowls, total, I want to say in the active. So they have about 200, I want to say. But if you come on their Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, they get about 40 to 50 individuals out in the mornings.
I would think they could help us, whether we could help them.
Well, I think
Well,
it's
mutual.
mutual, right? And
The fact that you met with it is important.
And so we've been doing a lot of cross-promoting between each other, and it is an active senior program, so it's just as important to make sure that they are part of us and that we're giving that attention to them. But as you walk to your cars, you'll notice that there's a new board. That's really the change, and I've worked really tightly with the new president. But if you walk by that lawn bowls area, you'll notice there's potted plants all around.
I saw
there's
new
there's
potted
hanging
plants,
plants. So they are really trying to improve the whole Lawn Bowls Club as a whole. We've worked to paint the sheds out there. I got the paint and all of the equipment, and they did the painting. And I had City Corps out here. They had a tournament last weekend. Had City Corps come out and clean. They bought City Corps volunteers pizza. So it's a good partnership that's going on between them. But it's another way to get our word out.
Now, is that, I don't know, really, is that group, are they independent of the city? Are they independent?
They have an MOU with us.
Oh, okay.
So
Any groups they have to pay for on their own?
it's depends on what it is. It depends
The
on what it
flowers,
is.
did you say?
Flowers, they actually did that on their.
Great.
Okay, well, then,
I have one more question. So, my last question is, anything is for Renee, is there anything being done about filling our vacancy for our commissioner?
So the application is out. There's no timeline. I believe the city clerk is very busy right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked for a timeline on when that's going to be filled, and there's no deadline. So that's where we're at with it.
As a matter of fact, I spoke to her yesterday. I wanted to get some clarification on the absentee ballot. And I asked her, I said, just want to know, is it counted when you receive it? Is it counted the day of the election, or is it counted the day after? She said, she had to think about it. She said, no, it's counted the day we receive it. No, she said, we review it the day we receive it, just in case people didn't sign it or something like that. And says, that was my question. When is it counted? She said, on the day of the election. I said, all right, fine, thank you. So, they are very, very busy. And the whole thing is very stupid, really.
Oh, it is.
The whole thing
Thank
is
you for emailing that
Yeah.
information.
so stupid. There's an election
I was
comes
gonna
up,
say something after we officially close about that.
there's an election November 1st, okay? Waste of time, waste
Me.
Oh, amazing.
no, there's an election.
okay, well, let's adjourn and then we can discuss it.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay, moved, Jeff seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Now,
I was just talking about the general election, November, why can't you go to November?
Well, all of those people who get elected,
How come you-
on May 1st, are gonna have to run again.
We have
And those